Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to Hips News. And today we will continue our journey into the complex reality of mental persuasion.
What is
Hips News. Hips News is.
life?
Hips News is.
Reality.
Hips News is.
The here and now, yeah.
What is?
Hidden in plain sight.
By the usage of TV and movie ads, and how the internet plays a major role in today's mental influence of our social society. I'm Vessel One, and with me, as always, my right hand man, my ace, and family, Vessel Two. Vessel Two, how are you today, my brother?
Today is all good, man. Another day. Nice to see you. Nice to be with you again.
And hopefully we can find some answers to the questions that was left of the previous episode. And so let's get into it.
Brainwashing was first used by journalist Edward Hunter in 1950 after American POWs falsely confessed to committing biological warfare in Korea on behalf of the US government. Psychologist Robert J. Lifton wanted to find out exactly what the Chinese did. So he interviewed these former POWs and wrote a book explaining the step-by-step process of thought reform. The first step is an assault on identity. It's that easy. But the oppressor does need to have absolute control over the subject. They need to be able to disrupt sleep, restrict diet, and physically punish the individual. This all makes scientific study of brainwashing ethically impossible. You can't replicate these conditions without causing grave injury to your subjects. Of course, that didn't stop the CIA from conducting their own brainwashing experiments in 1953. The program was called MK Ultra and used hypnosis, electroshock treatment, radiological implants, and LSD on unwitting civilians. After the program was exposed and shut down, it was determined that the CIA had learned absolutely nothing. Because the CIA operatives weren't trained as scientists. The only thing they accomplished was to put a lot of innocent people through a harrowing ordeal. So even though there are no rigorous scientific studies providing hard evidence of brainwashing, many psychologists still believe it's possible. Why is that? That's because we've seen examples of dramatic attitude shifts outside experimental settings. In 1973, two armed men attempted to rob a bank in Stockholm, Sweden. The police showed up, and a hostage situation ensued that lasted 6 days. When the police attempted a rescue, they were attacked by the hostages, and the hostages tried to protect their captors. After being freed, one of the hostages set up a fund to pay for the robbers' legal fees. From this event came the term Stockholm Syndrome. A year later, Patty Hearst was abducted. Within a very short period of time, she went from an unwilling hostage to an eager participant in a domestic terrorist group. Another reason psychologists believe in brainwashing is because our brains aren't nearly as static as we once thought they were. Up until 20 years ago, we thought the structure of our brain was fixed at adulthood. Now we know that multiple factors such as pain, drugs, exercise, inactivity, temperature, the food we eat can change the shape, size, and structure of our brain. Whenever our brains are introduced to a new stimulus, a neural pathway is formed. The information about that stimulus, its sound, meaning, and associations, are perceived by our senses and travel through those neural pathways to our brain. Repetition of that stimulus causes a physiological change in that neural pathway. It makes it stronger. The stronger the neural pathway, the more easily we accept those messages. That's why repetition is such a vital aspect of brainwashing. And modern technology has driven home just how easily our minds can be manipulated. If you apply electromagnetic fields to specific areas of the brain, you can pacify someone, cause them to hallucinate, even turn off their sense of morality. And recently, two scientists from the University of Washington have developed a way to remotely control another person's mind. Right now, you can only induce slight movements, and you can't do it to someone who's not willing. A slight movement is a far cry from forcibly changing someone's core values, but It's not hard to imagine a near future where someone combines modern technology with classic coercion methods and creates a frighteningly effective form of brainwashing. But until the day a totalitarian government or a monolithic corporate entity robs us of our free will and sense of self, enjoy your autonomy and your independent thought.
And there you have it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's out there. You just have to know where to look, it seems like. And hey, what can I say? It's more of the same. You you get used to the propaganda, and I guess you believe it, so you have to stand by your beliefs. That's how
There you
most
go.
people operate. And with I'm assuming majority of our entertainment and our news media is ran by the alphabet soup boys.
There you go.
You don't know how much of the news that you're listening to is trustworthy. And
Hmm.
if you are the common person, uh, you might not have the whereabouts to do the research for yourself. You know,
There you
two
go.
two jobs, so you really don't have a lot of time in your hands. You got to be back out punching the clock soon, so you just come home and taking a shower, sleeping, grabbing something to eat, and you're right back.
So yeah, it's a deep concept, man. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you look at it as something that we just watched through this clip, yeah, it's definitely uh, something that they've been working on for a long time,
All
and
right.
I guess only time will tell how successful they are. I don't know if there's a place to escape all of this.
They don't. They're trying to get it to the point where you can escape. You know, they want to lock you down and and get you to a point where you submit and you have no other choice. You're brainwashed. You're a zombie. You become the new modern slave. It's daunting. It's daunting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's all thanks to the lovely taxpayers and their contributions to the system.
Well, like we mentioned in previous episodes of Hip News, to answer the question how to get away from this would be you have to turn off the systems. You have to get away from electronics. You have to move and create your own economic and social systems. Eh, The problem with people of today or the modern age is that they rely too much on the electronics, the PCs, the computers, the tablets, the smartphones. They were given to you or placed in front of you, and it was so enjoyable that now you tend to become addicted. Again, the key word is addiction. Just like the LSD, just like cocaine, crack, these electronic devices become addictive, and so the people now are hooked. And I don't really think they can escape. They can't shake this. The cold turkey from moving away from electronics, that's going to be the biggest challenge for the modern man.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. I don't see that as being something easily done. especially when it comes to the younger generations.
Exactly. There was a video. It was showing how hooked a baby was to electronics. The baby couldn't even talk, let alone, I don't even think was able to walk. And the parent had the cell phone or smartphone with the child, and soon the parent took a phone away. The child reacted peculiar, really having a fit, almost like having a seizure in a sense. It was, going through withdrawals. Yeah, I was like, wow. So yeah,
Addicted to the Black Mirror.
that's it. That's it. The future. That's what all this is, designed to engulf these young children, the future. So we got a long fight ahead of us if we're gonna stay in control of our minds, let alone our souls.
Yeah, that's true. And it's coming from all angles. So
Humankind as a whole is not the crown of creation. We are setting the stage for something that transcends us. A new form of life is emerging.
Artificial intelligence is rapidly reshaping the world.
It's going to be everywhere all the time. It's going to hear everything. It's going to be connected to every single camera on the planet.
AI will ultimately be the best thing ever to happen to humanity or the worst thing ever. That's why this is the most important conversation of our time.
If we look at what AI is mostly being developed for, it's killing, spying, and brainwashing.
Computer algorithms can reveal our political views or sexual orientation. Privacy is gone.
We as humanity are about to go into a very dark time.
Cyber attacks, fake news, totally automated AI weapons. AI is going to be the most important technology in the history of the planet. Will humans actually benefit?
Think carefully about this. We're basically building a god.
What we are seeing now is like a train hurtling down a dark tunnel, and it looks like we're sleeping at the wheel.
Okay. Yeah, so Vessel 2, how do you feel about that clip we just watched?
yeah, that iHuman trailer was. It sounds like they're talking about right now. They kept saying, "It's coming, it's coming," but yeah, the AI is here, and as it was said in the trailer, so far it seems like it's done a lot of bad. So, being that none of us have a crystal ball, it's not really a easy judgment to place on whether good or bad the AI is at this moment. But it is making conversations, and day by day it's being more intrusive. And pretty soon everybody will be plugged in. They the one step forward seems to be the metaverse. Everybody is kind of hyper about that now, I believe. So people are going deeper and deeper into La La Land.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah.
The first thing that I noticed though of that trailer is what you always say: look for the hijack. And the first thing that the first three things that they were saying was brainwashing, AI, and weapon. As soon as I heard that, I knew that it couldn't be for anything good. And at Hips News, always try to bring to the forefront. We want people to be aware, conscious. With that, we're gonna move on to another form of brainwashing, or they don't say brainwashing in this sense. They say advertisement. Most psychologists say that it is a form of brainwashing. Although this is a little bit of comedy, you can see what's happening. And this is Wayne's World.
Listen, we need to have a talk about Vanderhoff. The fact is, he's the sponsor. And you signed a contract guaranteeing him certain concessions, one of them being a spot on the show.
Well, that's where I see things just a little differently. Contract or no, I will not bow to any sponsor.
I'm sorry you feel that way, but basically it's the nature of the beast.
Maybe I'm wrong on this one, but for me, the beast doesn't include selling out. Garth, you know what I'm talking about, right?
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
I can't talk about it anymore. It's giving me a headache.
Here, take 2 of these.
Ah, new print. Little, yellow, different.
Look, you can stay here in the big leagues and play by the rules, or you can go back to the farm club in Aurora. It's your choice.
Yes, and it's the choice of a new generation.
So, yeah, as you can see, again, how they drop subtle hints and placements in your face so that you can be customized and somewhat in need of that product so they can make money. It's very diabolical. Wouldn't you agree, Vessel 2?
Yes, totally. Totally. It's, it's all in the terminology. You said it. Marketing, product placement. It's all in the words.
Yeah.
All in the words. Yes. But I think that's a value that is materialistic. Chasing has got a lot of people signing contracts, if you will, where they shouldn't be signing contracts. It's all about that money. It's all about money. Another way to look at it would be it's been designed for us as people living under the umbrella society to chase materialistic gains in order to feel some type of happiness. But it's all a game. Money comes and goes. Items come and go. It's a cycle. And you're not really being productive in a sense to where the opposite side of that would probably be how it used to be when there was not a lot of work and there was more educational pushes to where people spent more time studying in libraries, trying to develop an art skill or just out bonding with nature. That used to be our culture. But our culture has been pretty much manipulated and stolen from us. So it's been replaced with this materialistic chasing culture. And it's prevalent. They throw it in your face, and it's psychological, where we've been all brought up thinking that the big house with the white picket fence and the dogs running through the yard, pooping everywhere, is what we need.
Like this episode and the previous episode, main theme it's all brainwashing. One last thing before we go to the last video clip. How do you think this all falls in line with social media and these social apps and how things are in the modern world or modern times.
As far as the human psyche?
The human psyche and brainwashing technique, and like you
Oh
said
yeah,
before,
it's all the way live. I mean, if you just look at the words, uh, World Wide Web, what is a web?
yeah,
And they have a clear record on how to break down and build up societies in real life. In real life, they have hands-on experience in real life. So to build a web to entice people to volunteer their information freely, it's a continuation of the brainwashing from the physical world into the social media world. And even from the beginning, I guess, where television was always controlled by the same hands. So this all we know. It's nothing new. It's just a a parallel universe. You got the older generation still stuck on TV, where the brainwashing is heavy, and then you got the younger generation stuck in that Black Mirror, where the brainwashing is unlimited. There's no stopping uh, the ventures that they want to take themselves upon.
right.
So yeah, it's good and it's bad, like everything. You have to look at it both ways. I think the technology in itself is good because uh, it has its advantages. You can't deny that if you're using it correctly, and if you have good intentions on how you're using it, it can be a very positive thing to have for a resource. But at the same time, every time you turn around, it seems like some mad scientist is behind uh, the end results, and we end up having the negative of something that could have been and should have been positive. But
Right there.
how do you see it? I mean, as far as uh, the reach of social media and AI, do you think it's a brain washing mechanism?
Well, again, from part one of last week to even today, as we continue our research and dive into this, yes, very much so. I see it nothing but a way of controlling or keeping your mind um, focused on something that you really don't have any control over. Although you seem like you're controlling it, but I mean the way they implement things, like it's been known that you know my search or my what I see on my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or whatever, uh, you don't see the same thing. It's totally different, and it goes by AI uh, learning, or uh, information that we freely give, like you mentioned. They tend to take it and they use it against us. They put advertisements, or they have different things that's placed in front of us so we can gravitate to. And most people, you can ask your average person who use social media. Sometimes you go on there just to do research or look up something as simple as something from the dictionary, and then you turn around and you end up finding something else, or something else gets your attention, and you started off only to use the internet or only to use social media to post something or write something or just check something, and you're on there 2, 3, 4 hours later. So let's push on to this last clip, and hopefully it will bring some light to a dark situation.
95% of who we are by the time we're 35 years old is a set of memorized behaviors, like a computer program, emotional reactions, unconscious beliefs and perceptions. So the first step to change is to become conscious of how you think, to notice how you act, to pay attention to how you feel. And the act of observing those states of mind and body separates you from that program. Now you're the consciousness observing that program. The act of mentally rehearsing something when you're truly present. So now your brain is no longer a record of the past. Now it's a map to the future. Nobody changes until they change their energy. And when you change your energy, you change your life. Okay, well, most people, number one, they get up in the morning and the first thing they do is they think about the problems in their life. And those problems are memories from the past. So the moment they think about their problems, they're thinking in the past, right? Every one of those problems has an emotion attached to them. So they start feeling unhappy or unworthy or whatever. And how you think and how you feel is your state of being. So most people's entire state of being is in the past when they start the day. So if in the familiar past, they're gonna live in a predictable future, right? So they get up and they check their cell phone, they check their text, their WhatsApp, their Facebook, they post something on Facebook, they tweet, they Twitter, they check the news, then they go to the bathroom, get a cup of coffee, take a shower, get dressed, check more emails, drive to work the same way, do the same thing. So they're in a program. They've actually lost their free will to the program. If you get angry at a coworker and all of a sudden you get an arousal in your brain and body, right? You get a rush of energy. When you start noticing that your body starts dropping, your brain starts noticing your energy starts dropping, you're automatically going to have the image of the coworker in order to what? Give your body the next jolt, jolt, right? So all of a sudden people become addicted to their own thoughts, right? So these people realize that, oh my God, I've been mismanaging my attention and energy, and I got to get beyond my past. I got to get beyond these emotions. I got to make some big changes. I got to break the habit of being myself. You know, I got to stop being this person. Now, that sounds really good theoretically and philosophically, but change is such a hard thing, right? Because the moment you come back to your senses and you step back into your life and you see that person, or you go to that place, or you're with that experience, so many people are unconsciously reacting in their thoughts and feelings to everything in their environment. So now their environment is controlling how they think and feel. So they realize that in order to change,
got to change the environment.
They got to be greater than their environment, greater than the conditions in the world, greater than the circumstance. Because the moment you start reacting emotionally, emotions are a record of the past. And if those emotions are driving your thoughts, you're thinking in the past. And if you can't think greater than how you feel, and you believe your thoughts have something to do with your destiny, you're creating more of your past, right? So it turns out that the repetition of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking, these loops that people get caught in, condition their body to subconsciously become the mind of that emotion. Which means now their body, as their unconscious mind, is believing they're living in the same past experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. What's the relevance behind that? Well, the latest research on genes says genes don't create disease. It's the environment that signals the gene that creates disease. If you're reacting emotionally to your environment the same way, you're signaling the same gene in the same way, and now you're headed for a genetic destiny. So the hormones of stress push the genetic buttons that create disease. If you can turn on the stress response just by thought alone. So if you start your day, and you start your day with this simple question, what is the greatest ideal of myself that I can be today? Now listen, your body's gonna go like, well, you gotta get a cup of coffee, and you gotta I'm tired, yeah. And you gotta go, body, you're not the mind, I'm the mind right now. You're gonna get your coffee, you're gonna do all those things, but right now, this is my time. You're gonna obey me. right? So now the body's no longer the mind, you're the mind. And so when it wants to get up and you become aware of it and return back to the present moment, every time you do, that's a victory. And you're changing some aspect of yourself. So then ask yourself, I do this all the time, write down 4 thoughts that you're going to stay conscious of the whole day. I can't, it's too hard. You'd be surprised the moment you become conscious of what those thoughts are, how unconscious you've been to them all day, for weeks on end. Write down what you speak, how you speak, 4 things you want to change, how you act. How do you act? Do you complain? Do you blame? Do you make excuses? Do you feel sorry for yourself? That's a victim consciousness. What emotions do you live by? Is it possible that you're so used to living by guilt you don't even know it's guilt, it just feels like you? Do you allow your energy to drop? Become conscious of those states of mind and body and review them and say, this is the old self. Then say, what thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain? And start firing and wiring and start feeling it. What behaviors will I demonstrate today? What choices will I make? One day, one lifetime, and rehearse them. Rehearse the whole entire thing. Begin to install the neurological hardware in your brain. And if you keep installing it, the hardware is going to become a software program, and you're going to start thinking and acting that way. And then here's the tough part. Can you teach your body emotionally what your future is going to feel like before it's made manifest? And don't get up until you feel that way. Now, practice that for a few days. And then see if you can stay in that state and watch all of a sudden all those weird doors start opening for you. Synchronicities. Synchronicities, whatever they are. Number 2, take a time at the end of your day. The end of your day before you lay down and give thanks for your life and feel gratitude and really teach your body what it feels like. Gratitude means you're getting something. If I give you something that's of value, you would say thank you because you would feel it, right? So when you're receiving, you're giving thanks. So gratitude is the ultimate state of receiving. So then people only accept, believe, and surrender to the thoughts equal to their emotional state. So if you're in a state of gratitude, every thought's going to make it right down into your body. If you're saying, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, and your body's programmed in negativity, it's saying, no, you're not, no, you're not, no, you're not, that thought's going to stop right here. So as you elevate your state, there are about 1,200 different chemical reactions that go on in the body that begin to restore and repair the body in a state of gratitude. We are the creators of our lives and not the victims of our lives. And that taking time in your life to invest in yourself is to invest in a future. And when you invest in yourself, you invest in your future. And when you believe in yourself, you believe in possibility. And I think that everybody secretly believes in themselves. And so taking time to understand that we are just works in progress and to find time to forgive ourselves and to forgive others and start fresh the next day is a blessing, And finally, I think that it's not our purpose in life to be popular or successful or beautiful or intelligent. Our purpose in life is to remove those blocks, those veils, those limitations that stand in the way between us and that divine intelligence. And when we do, it begins to make its way through us, and we become more like it. We become more loving. It is a loving intelligence. We become more giving. It's a giver of life. We become more conscious. It's a consciousness. We become more mindful. It has an infinite mind. We become more willful. It has an amazing will. Its nature becomes our nature. Its mind becomes our mind. And then we don't have to try to be liked or try to be important or try to be recognized. We're just happy for no reason at all. And I think that is the natural state of being. And I think that we innately know that on some level.
And that will conclude our journey into the complex side of brainwashing, from starting from MK Ultra to movies, social media, and so forth and so on. Hopefully, this will bring some light to questions and hopefully answer some as well. Vessel 2, like always, your final thoughts are a gem. Can you drop that knowledge?
I'd like to thank everybody for listening, tuning in. Please make sure y'all leave comments. Let us know how we doing. Please, everybody, stand on your square, as always. Make sure that you are crossing your T's, dotting your I's when you're reading and listening to information. It's not easy to filter through a lot of the information that we get every day, but just be patient with yourself. Make sure that you make your decisions based on what you know and not what you've been told, because what we've been told most likely has been manipulated. Once again, thank y'all for listening and tuning in. Be safe, stand on your square. Peace.
Peace.